Hello, I am Jess Grogan, and this is the storyboard for the youth employment video. It's going to be an animation similar to the girl effect video, which is seen here, which is basically an animation of a young girl which is promoting youth education for women and the promotion of women's rights and things like that. And this is just the general idea of the project. We want to do something similar like this to promote youth employment. It's very basic and straightforward. It's very easy to understand for all ages and demographics, so it works well because our target audience is the young generation. So we want to make something that's low on rhetoric and high on I guess you could call it watchability, so something that they can kind of get into. It presents facts in a storyline, but not too many, and it moves from the negative situation to the positive solution. And the intro, it'll start out with a globe spinning in the distance, and the camera zooms in to see that a seed's falling from the sky. So whenever the seed falls down, it's going to fall into a hole, and it's all going to be animated, so it's going to be continuous. When the seed falls into the hole, it's going to start to grow a plant, which is then going to produce a small child. Now, as the seed grows, you're going to see an arrow that begins to go to the right. As the arrow moves, this arrow is going to be the primary focal point of the video, which means that this arrow is going to move continually up and down, around, sometimes in a 3D way, but it's going to serve as the ground. And it's also going to be the point of reference for the story. As the story moves along, it's going to continue to move along. So keep in mind that this is always going to be moving forward. So a child is sprouted, child begins to crawl, starts to become bigger. Okay, they grow up so fast. Here, I'll go back to the last slide very briefly. We're going to have very brief sentences that are going to be written on the animation. So something needs to be done. Our kids are growing up fast. We want to make it simple. Sorry. And so as the child continues to walk, they'll begin to crawl, then they'll begin to walk, and they grow up so fast. So falling from the sky, you'll see a pacifier, so representing that they're a toddler. As they get bigger, they're going to go to school, so here comes a book bag. They can throw the pacifier down, they'll catch the book bag. It'll all be animated. Here comes the soccer ball. As the child starts to get bigger, maybe they can juggle the ball around and it'll continue. Now remember that the line is always continuing, so when a boy or girl graduates high school, and then there'll be some sort of animated action here with the person graduating. That is, if they're lucky enough to do so. So here I figured that there would be a small window that kind of comes out, representing like an African continent or a developing country where the school crumbles and the person doesn't have proper access to education, something like that. We're gonna just present these basic concepts to them, and then it's not gonna look like this. Obviously, they're gonna take it and run with it and make it animated and make it smooth. So after this, the person's going to continue to walk. This represents the stock market, job market. They will enter one of the most difficult job markets in history. So as they come here, they're going to fall down. They're going to be kind of dizzy and confused because it's difficult to find a job, etc. They're going to continue to walk as the arrow continues ahead of them. And this is supposed to be a female, but I'm not very good at drawing that kind of thing. So this will obviously be cleaned up. It's just a basic idea. It will be harder for them to find work than it was for generations before them. So this person's kind of depressed, kind of disenchanted, walking past, as the adults are doing well and he can't find a job. Without a job to support a family, many youth are forced to delay marriage and starting their families and must remain or return home. So he's going to continue to walk as the arrow continues, go back home. He's going to walk over to the window, and it's going to zoom into the window where the bars on the window become the bars of a prison cell, meaning that the youth feel entrapped. They feel like they don't have a lot of options whenever they have to do this because they can't start their lives. So then he's going to continue to walk, maybe exit the side of the house and come out, continue to walk following the arrow. In the developing world, and obviously the background is going to change here to represent a developing country versus a developed one, the situation is even worse as many youth still don't have access to education, healthcare, or decent work. And so we have the school, a hospital, and a factory here, and as he or she looks up from his or her walk, they're going to notice that the buildings in the background kind of crumble or disappear, or we're going to kind of leave that up to the creative license of the graphic designers, because they're obviously much better at creating these kind of things than I am. And even when they can find work, so they're going to continue to walk, they're going to enter into this what represents kind of like a factory setting. Even when they can find work, they're often underpaid, working in informal markets, or have unsafe working conditions. So here he is. He's going to come in, pick up a box. He's going to start sweating and have some back pain. Then he'll drop the box, representing that he's injured himself because it's unsafe working conditions, etc. And when he falls here, he's going to remain here. The arrow is going to continue forward as always. Remember that it's always in motion. And it's going to come here to this girl. So she's going to start here, fill out her CV, her resume, and she's going to approach this building here, which kind of represents an office building. So during this time, without training and experience, others are shut out from employment opportunities altogether. So it's going to be happening here. On the word shut, whenever the word shut comes up, the employer, whenever she approaches with a resume, is going to shut the door. So I've got that note here. So it's going to be simultaneous with shut. He's going to shut the door on her. Some youth are even forced to enticed to turn to crime in order to survive. Now for this, we didn't want to include an animation because we want to represent positive images only. So there's only going to be a text version of that. The girl's going to continue to walk and then stop. And to make matters worse, these trends are even worse for young women. So at this time, the young woman begins to shrink, and she brings out the white flag of surrender, of SOS, to kind of say help, you know, kind of the white flag of help. So to represent that women, you know, have an even harder time with these trends. The arrow's going to continue. Now, as the arrow continues, this graph isn't necessarily exactly what I wanted to do, but just to give an idea, whenever we present these figures, as of 2012, there are 73 million unemployed youth and countless more underemployed or in informal markets. Now, in this case, I had the idea that the arrow's going to come up, continue, go up, and maybe continue this green part around, green representing positive something. So try to start saying that the trend's going to change, maybe stop here so there's less unemployment, or the arrow's going to come up. As these rise up, the arrow's going to go up and over it, kind of in a 3D fashion, kind of like that, representing that the trend's going down and that it's improving. Global economic crisis has now turned into a global jobs crisis, affecting the daily lives of millions of people worldwide. And this is another thing where we're going to let the graphic designers have a creative license over how they can represent something like this. And they're obviously going to be a lot better at it than this looks. Then it's going to continue. The arrow's going to continue, hopefully in a 3D fashion, kind of like this, up and over, etc. But there is hope, and it starts with you. Now, this is going to be a graphic only screen as the arrow is continuing. When it goes into the 3D area, all of these people represent people from different cultures, people from different backgrounds, colors, races, everything, and they're all going to have these ideas. So as the arrow is coming here and going up and over their shoulders, they're going to have these idea bubbles that pop out in the dialogue. Now, as they say the bubbles, United Nations want your ideas, stories, and opinions. As the arrow continues, it's going to go through this, become illuminated, go through this bubble, become more illuminated, more illuminated, more illuminated, more illuminated, until at the end it reaches the UN logo, which then itself becomes illuminated with the ideas that the arrow has brought to it. So the idea is to create the effect that these people are given the ideas, the UN is taking them in, and it's becoming illuminated and creating positive change. So I've made the note here. And then this is going to be incorporated in that same time frame to help stop youth unemployment, to start building better lives for our youth. And this too is going to continue to support young entrepreneurs and job creators, to improve the existing systems to teach our youth real practical skills that they can use. So again, remember that this arrow is always continuing. It's not going to be linear in this sense. It's going to be a 3D effect that they create for us. So we want you to participate through Twitter, Facebook, and the ECOSOC webpage from now until May 4th to contribute to. Now, as this is happening, the arrow is going to go up. These are going to fade in like they did on the video here. We have our hashtag here for the Twitter account. We have the Facebook page link here. So this is going to come up and over. It's going to have some interaction with these. And remember that it's going to be going in a 3D fashion. It's not going to be linear here. The ECOSOC Youth Conference on Creating a Sustainable Future, Empowering Youth with Better Job Opportunities. Okay, so the ECOSOC logo is going to appear, fade in just like it did here. It's going to go up and over, have some sort of effect like that. Maybe it'll be at an angle here as it's going through the countryside or something like that. I'm sure they can create some great effects for that. There will be 2 informal dialogues on training and education to facilitate access to job market. Now, whenever it brings up this, it's going to be written maybe beside this person here, which represents a male. He's going to be fixing his tie as if he's going to work or he's going to a job interview or something like that, as the arrow goes up and over his shoulder and kind of passes him in this direction, it's going to approach this girl here, and obviously this is this is the best I could do with a female dress, but obviously we're going to have something maybe a little bit more business oriented, or something a bit less stereotypical. I just did this to kind of represent what we wanted. So as it's going past the man, it's going to continue to the woman, promoting youth employment, creating jobs for a more sustainable future. Now as it says this, it's going to pass her, and as it passes her, she'll have the plant growing out of her hand or something like that, kind of an effect that they can create much better than this. The arrow is going to continue, and it's going to go up and over the horizon. As it goes up and over the horizon, tweet now to UN for Youth or visit us on Facebook, which is going to be here. Now when it goes up and over the horizon, a sun is going to rise. After it goes down, it's going to bring the sun up. Let's make a better tomorrow together. And as this comes up, we're going to have the information on the ECOSOC Youth Conference and the location, the times, the dates, and all that. So it's going to stay there for a few seconds as the music continues to play, and then we'll have a very brief credits page just saying, you know, about the graphic design team and the UN partners and logos and all that stuff. I posted this on YouTube because I think it's a much easier way to send the file around, and I created a name on YouTube that's not open to the public necessarily, so it's hard to find, so it's not something that's just floating around the internet now. I think it makes it a lot easier doing it this way. Also, if you have any comments or if you have any suggestions, please let us know, and we'll be glad to take those into consideration and try to make whatever changes you see necessary. And thank you for your time, and get back to us whenever you can. Thanks.